was a big investment
Yeah.
with a term contract, saying like you're going to keep this. I want to say it was like a 2-year contract. So nothing too crazy, but still you're saying 2 years, you're going to pay X amount of money every month along with all these other, residual charges. And now you're going legit. So
Yeah.
you need an actual, we had an LLC, but we needed to activate our EIN, which is your tax code. Cause now you're going to be getting paid with credit cards through a website, through a merchant, no more cash. Um, so we were looking at that, and that was right about the time that they laid me off, and I had to make a decision. Do I get everything that I have saved up right now and put it towards this and a couple of other things and just go for it? Or do I go get another job and put this on hold for now? And that was when I made the decision. I was like, you know what? You know what? This is one of those things like this happened for a reason. Now I'll have the time to do all the stuff that I wanted to do. I
Yep.
just got to make this investment here and there. And just like the hustler mindset, I got to make it work.
For it. Yep.
Just got to make it work. And it did. It did. The website was a game changer. And right about the same time, we went ahead and invested in our first commissary kitchen. We got our green tag, so we're up to code. And then the next step was just like, okay, I don't want to deliver to people anymore. At that point, I was still doing strictly home delivery or business delivery, and
Okay.
I was doing all the deliveries. And like, when I say it was a lot of deliveries for one person to do, there were days, dude, when I would start delivering at 8 in the morning and deliver sometimes till 11 at night. Like, I felt bad because like I was getting people like their meals late, but they saw it. Like, they saw it. Like, and it was, I showed it on my Instagram. Like, I would have stories, like I would show all the meals wrapped, because it was like I used to fill up, like they didn't know it was my garage, and I had a bunch of freaking freezers and fridges and stuff,
Yeah.
but just stacks of
Yeah.
wrapped meals, like you could see them, and people were like, "Holy shit! Like this dude's really doing it." And then when we went into the commissaries, volume increased more. Um, and then that's basically just took off from there, man.
Nice. Hell yeah. I love that story. And it's one of
Yeah,
those things too where it's like, and I tell people all the time, even when I started with the apparel stuff, is like you have to work your regular job to fund what you're doing on the side
yep,
until that does enough, or until when like how you were in a position, you said I had enough to finish investing, and you had everything else in place. And
yeah,
I think social media is kind of misconstrued that, and people just like jump the gun, and they don't understand like no, unless you're well off or you have somebody to help you invest, or the case is, you got to grind it out until you can
yeah,
get to a point where you can quit that job and strictly focus on this. So I love that story, and I think it's really one of the cases that people can take to heart and be like, okay, this dude really had to fucking grind it out in order
yeah.
to be successful, because most people, like you said, it never happens overnight. And I think you're a
No.
prime example of really having to put in the work for years to make it happen.
Yeah. And I mean, that point that you made right there, like that's one of the only things I get frustrated with now that we're where we're at. And I still don't feel like I'm as successful as can
Yep.
be. But when people are like, man, you came out of nowhere. Like, how did you, no, 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 no. I did not, I did
Yeah.
not come out of nowhere. Like, this was like from the ground up, and it took a while. I was like, really? How long? Like, at this point right now, from beginning to now, it'll be actually past 4 years. It's 4 years. And 3 of those, I didn't even have a building. I didn't have a brick and mortar. I didn't have a food truck. I didn't have everything. It was just strictly commissary kitchen and figuring out how to get stuff to people as quickly as possible. Because when you're talking about food, of course, that it's going to expire. It's
Of
going to go
course.
out of temperature. And from there, like I started to realize things that had skills in, like logistics. I was in a delivery based job. I already had that knowledge.
Yep.
Service, had all that from food service and from running a service department. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing, being the service manager. And then, you talked about Instagram, Instagram, social media, marketing. That's a whole nother job and
Yep.
position in itself too.
It really
Takes
is.
time, takes energy. But I realized I had that too, and I knew how to market. And one of the first things I did is I realized my market. I talked about this in another podcast. Like the culture out here is just different.
Yeah.
You can't come in here with a cookie cutter based thing and just like decide, you got to figure it out.
Exactly.
And I feel like one thing, cause there have been other meal prep companies. I do have competitors. I feel like one thing nobody ever tapped into was the culture here.
Yeah.
And I think it just took somebody who knew the culture, who was part of it, to realize that, like, one thing in corporate America that I got not made fun of, but I got shit for, and I got kind of ostracized sometimes and treated different for, was my culture.
Yeah.
But it's the accent, it's the way we talk, it's one of those things. And like before, like there's that Johnny James dude and like people
Mm-hmm.
like that not necessarily exploit the culture, but they know that they can use it to make something. Like before even that, I realized that a long time ago. Like people love that because it's authentic, it's
Yep.
real, it's what they live, it's what they know. And although sometimes I make fun of it, I'm only making fun of it because I'm making fun of myself. I think it's
Exactly.
funny because some of the things I make fun of, I've done, I've said, like I've lived it, you know what I mean? And I apply that to the business. Some people get it and some people don't. But it's one of the things that makes us unique down to our branding and our logos. Like I've embraced that.
Yeah.
My main logo that is on your meals has two cholos,
Yep.
called Chicanos Cholos, making an exchange, a cash exchange for meal preps. And some of my best customers that love us, law enforcement,
Yep.
military. And my business is in the heart of all the courthouses and federal buildings. Like I'm surrounded, you know, but I embraced what I grew up with,
Yeah.
like my uncles, my
Of
cousins,
course.
me. It's part of what I grew up with, and you can look at it as a bad thing, or you can embrace it, turn it around, and make it something that's yours and different,
Yep.
you know.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, like I'm not a chef. I'm not obviously like a bodybuilder. And I think that's like the common ground in meal prep for some reason. Like chef cured meals and look
Yep.
what I did because I got all these muscles. You want muscles
Exactly.
like me?
Yep.
Eat my food. Disregard all the stuff that I shoot into my intramuscular injections and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about the food. Whereas me, like, I'm honest with people too. Like, I post other stuff that I eat. And one thing that I realized too is like, athletes are important, but not everybody's an athlete. The majority of my customer base, I'd say about 90% of it is just everyday average Joes and Susans, or Jose's and Susanas, whatever you want to call it, that are just trying to eat better.
Yeah.
Like they're feeling it, whether it's actual, like they're feeling it in their heart or they're feeling it in the weight that they put on. They just want to make a change, but they're not trying to be like a triathlete or a CrossFitter or a bodybuilder or a fighter. Although I do market that as well because I do have legitimate athletes that use my product and
Yeah.
it does work and they see that. And like, I get inspired more by like, there's a guy who actually switched from one of my competitors here. He told me right when we opened because he wanted to try something different. And I've literally watched this guy transform from Sunday to Sunday
Yeah.
over the time that we've been in the building. And I told you how I haven't really been in the store a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so I saw him the other day and man, like the dude slimmed down and
Okay.
now he's like working on his aesthetics and building muscle. And he's excited about it. And when I saw him, I was like, holy crap, man. And of course he got a big smile on him.
Definitely.
That's crazy. And then he told me straight up, he's like, all I eat is your food. That's it. And so to hear stuff like that and see that, like, as much as I want to, use it, I don't want to exploit him either.
Of
But one
course.
of these days, I'd like to like, hey man, do you have like any before pictures like I
No,
could see? You know
definitely.
what I mean? And let's take a picture over here today.
Yeah.
And like, it works, man. It works because like one thing about my food, and I got criticized for it at first, is it's not the plain cardboard stuff like I like to call. Like it has flavor. It's seasoned. It's got a little bit of the stuff that like the hardcore athletes, I have the bulk line, the bulk
Yeah.
protein and carbohydrates where you can build your own meal. That's for them. My meals, it's stuff that you can eat every day and you won't get tired of and it's not bland
Yeah.
and you can stay consistent with it because that's the biggest key. Now, if you want to step it up, kick it up a notch and you take it to the next level of an actual athlete or competitor, I got that covered too. But like I said, I cater to the majority of my demographic, and the majority of my demographic likes my basic meals that,
Yeah.
your hardcore, believers kind of criticize, and that's cool. You criticize it. It doesn't matter because that's what works for me. I'm
Yeah.
different over here, and that's what works. So yeah, that's where we're at, man.
No, and I'll say too, one thing that I loved, I I used to get the steak and the chicken in bulk from you, and I would just make
Yeah,
the carbs and all that stuff myself. And it was just like you said, I could eat that every day. I ate it, I'd alternate meals, so I'd have two steak meals and one chicken, you know what I mean, a day. And it was
yeah,
one of those things, even Candace too. I remember one time she made the comment, she was like, "This is just so good." Like the flavor was there and everything. And that was one of
yeah,
the reasons why we just continued to buy it in bulk from you, because one, it was easy when it came down to portioning the meals, you know what I mean? Cut the bag open, weigh it out, but it was good,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And it was just something that we, like you said, you don't get tired of. So that was one thing I
yeah.
appreciated when we would buy it from you there. Speaking of, we'll have a conversation after. I need to know if you're shipping, because if you're shipping, we need to talk.
So it's coming. It's a matter of figuring out the shipping process. I already have boxes that are kind of like in R&D. I'm gonna start out with some fighters friends that have moved, and have a bodybuilder. I think he's in San Antonio, and we're
Okay.
gonna kind of do like a test trial run of it. Because the other thing is, it's going back to logistics. A big part of it is logistics. Um, there's time, temperature,
Of course.
and the other thing is that gives me a little bit of a disadvantage in the industry of shipping is my stuff's so fresh. I don't ever freeze it.
Mm,
And
okay.
I don't want to freeze it. So the last part I'm trying to figure out right now, one is USDA regulations, because once you ship out of state, it's a certification. So I don't have that yet.
Okay.
Um, but what I want to figure out first is if the regular shipping that's available with the dry ice and the right boxes and stuff will sustain my food long enough to get there and it not be like nasty.
Of
And
course.
that's why I want to send it to friends and people that'll
Yeah.
give me like, an honest review and tell me like, yeah, this is trash. Like I can tell, like it's just, or even worse, like if I get somebody sick, I'd rather, as messed up as it sounds, I'd rather it be one of my friends or
Yeah.
somebody that I know that knows, hey, this might get you sick.
Yeah.
So when I have that figured out, along with all the other things I'm trying to figure out, I'm totally down to shit.
Hell
But
yeah.
it's a whole process.
No, no, I believe it for sure. Well, shoot, man, let's get
Yeah.
into real quick, because I know you're in a brick and mortar now. So can you briefly go into some of the challenges that you faced when trying to get that set up? Because I know it's not easy. I've traveled for opening up restaurants, and there's all kinds of inspections, and you got to get certifications, and this person has to come by, and this
Yeah.
and this.
So to be honest, that was one of the hardest things in this whole adventure, this entrepreneurial journey, because if there's one way to kind of like hurt your dream, it's to realize that you're not qualified to get to the next level. And that was getting a brick and mortar. It even got to the point where we were looking at food trucks,
Okay.
like food trailers, and it just didn't feel right, man. Like it was like, this is not the path that I want to go. And I don't even want to try to figure out how to make this work, but let's look into it.
Yeah.
And we were about, I'd say like one decision away from going the food truck route. And I'm so glad we didn't. Like that was one thing that I was like, let's just wait this out. The first thing we realized is we weren't making enough money
Okay.
and we just had to grow. We had to increase our prices properly and like actually like sit down and break down. We were so on the go of just go, 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 go. That was one of the things that we missed. We weren't making enough money. So the first thing was to grow. And then once we grew, we had to realize we didn't have enough legitimate money to get like loans
Okay.
we didn't have, at that point when we first looked for a facility, a building, we didn't even have a business plan.
Damn.
And I'm
Okay.
like, one of the first places we went and we were working with these people, luckily it was like a friend of a friend that referred me. Cause otherwise I probably would have been embarrassed, but they were kind of easy on us. They're like, yeah, man, like you need a business plan, you need financial statements, you need like, and I'm looking at 'em, man, I got money. I don't
Mm,
need that. Like, and then I had to step back and I had to realize like money ain't enough. Like, like cash and capital and that's when it was heartbreaking almost. Like that was, I told you like there had been times on this path, on this journey when I was like, yeah, it's time to get a job.
yeah.
That was one of the first ones. I was like, I'm over here thinking I'm doing it big.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking like this is a total success story. And then that was like a real wake up call. It was like, nah, man, you thought you were doing it big.
Yeah.
You thought you were a big dog. Chihuahua,
Yeah.
Chihuahua. That's what you are. You're that little annoying barking Chihuahua, and you're over here annoying these commercial realtors and these property owners, wasting their time because you don't even have a business plan. You don't
Yeah.
have financial statements. You don't have 2 years of taxes yet. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's when it was just back to the back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And that was when it always happened like that. Like sometimes it was straight hustler mode right away, but I'd be lying to you. I'm not a motivational speaker. Like I had to go through the phase of like being upset, then being sad,
Yep.
and then wanting to give up sometimes. And then, like I said, you wake up the next morning like, let's get this shit done, you know? And I want to say the next phase from that was I figured out, okay, if I don't have a brick and mortar and I can't deliver to everybody anymore, what do I got to do? And that's when I came up with pickup locations, where my first partner in pickup locations was an Herbalife location, which is a little weird because Herbalife doesn't really promote eating too much if you really know about it. It's all about like their shakes and if you're not on their shakes, drink their magic energy drinks
Yeah.
with
All their
appetite
teas or
suppressants.
whatever they got. Yeah.
You're going to lose weight. Well, of course you're going to lose weight. You're not eating. You're starving your body. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's a whole different thing. But they gave me my first opportunity. And kind of like everything else, like the marketing materials and the logo package, the website, I made a decision and I was like, I could go try to find some fridge on, Facebook, garage or something like that. Or even like a regular fridge or something like that. But I'm like, nah, man, this gotta be legit.
Yeah.
So I had money. Like I said, when I looked at the commercial realtors, like, I got money. That's when I realized I got money. So what are you going to spend your money on? So I made a decision. The first fridge I bought, I paid way too much for. For one thing, I bought my first fridge for $2,500, brand new, drop shipped. It was beautiful, but it was very expensive.
Yeah.
Paid another $400 for the freight. So it was like my first fridge was a $3,000 fridge when it didn't only needed to be probably like maybe 1,200.
Yeah.
Then I got with the same people that were printing all of our stickers and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, do you guys do wraps? Of course they do wraps. You know why? Because they charge an arm and a leg.
Yep.
$700 to wrap that fridge, put my logos on it. So now we're up to what's that? Like a $3,700. Might as well say with
More grand.
install $4,000 fridge.
Yeah.
My first fridge. But I'll tell you one thing, man. That thing was legit. Like it looked like to me, it looked like something you would see and you'd be like, man, what is that? And that's exactly what it did.
Yeah.
And although it cost money and although it was a little bit of, it grew us. And then whenever I started posting it, what a lot of people don't know is like my plan was to post it and then start going to gyms and things like that. Bro, whatever happened at that point, we were popping because like gyms, nutrition shops, all these places started hitting me up. And this was post COVID, by the way, when
Yeah.
finally everything started to clear up and places were opening. And it was just perfect timing because places were trying to figure out like, okay, our gym's open now. This is open now. Like, how do we get people to come here?
Yep.
I never stopped during the whole pandemic, during the whole, anything that came at me. I figured out how to still make it work and the wheels never stopped moving during the whole thing. Shut down, the second shutdown, third, whatever the hell they did, I never stopped because at that point I was like, I ain't stopping. I gotta keep going. So that momentum that I built then, it rolled into that and I just had gyms and places and I was like, the hardest part was trying to figure out like, how am I going to buy all these fridges? How am I going to get all these fridges wrapped? Like, and then somehow we figured it out. There were times when like those beginning parts, like they tell you when you have a business where all I was doing was racking up debt. I
Yeah.
was paying my bills. I was keeping the lights on. I was keeping the house over the head and all that stuff. But like, other than that, man, no fun, which I didn't have time for anyways.
Of
No
course.
birthday parties, no vacations, holidays, but barely.
Yeah.
Like, that was the other hard part to adjust to is to like realize like, your life is kind of going to be on hold for a while as far as like your regular life before when you had like a job and all that stuff. Like we missed probably a good 2 years of all that stuff
Wow.
in the first couple years of the business. And it was so weird when we finally had time for stuff like that. We didn't even know how to do it anymore. Like the first couple times we like got back to like normal stuff, it was like an adjustment. Like it was just like even a couple things like we decided, now I don't actually want to do this.
Yeah.
I just figured out I don't actually like that.
Yeah.
It
Not
was
doing
just something that I did. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny as it sounds, but yeah, it was weird. And then, I think from there, it was just once we figured out the pickup locations, everything that I do, I'm not one of those guys like, once again, I won't lie to you. Like I have everything all figured out and mapped out. I just plan in phases, but whenever I do one thing, I'm like, okay, what's the next move?
yeah.
Like what's the next? So I already knew we had these fridges in places, and at that point we tried to look for a building again, and we had enough money, we had enough of everything, but it was more like resources and stuff,
Okay.
and an idea to apply our business plan to. And part of our business plan, it was simple. Honestly, it was just something cool. It was like providing healthy food alternatives to everybody. But we realized we weren't providing it to everybody because not everybody wants to like buy a whole pack of meals and wait,
Yeah.
and wait almost a week. We got a lot of business and we got a lot of customers like that. But that's when I realized we weren't tapping into those people because people were already asking me at that point, hey, that place, that fridge that you have, can I just go grab a meal over there? And that's when it hit me. It's like, we just need like individual
Yeah.
meals. And so then it was just a matter of figuring that out. And what we did is basically we just converted all of our existing pickup locations with the exception of a couple that didn't, there was some that didn't come on board right away.
Okay.
Um, but, and it was all to each their own, but like
Of
the
course.
ones that did, and it just blew up again. It was all in stages and phases, you know what I mean? And from there, it's like one of those, like we keep saying, it was just meant to happen. We got enough growth, we got enough, and it was enough time to build up I guess, our business portfolio,
Yeah.
that we got to the point where we got with the right, leasing company, to look at properties. And like when we finally realized it, um, I almost couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, are we really actually about to? So the first phase, when you get a building or a brick and mortar, is you submit what's called an LOI, a letter of interest. So that's basically you saying, hey, I'm serious. Here's my, here's my business plan. Here's my financial statements, everything like that. You're going to look at them for, a couple seconds and we're qualified.
Mm-hmm.
So when we submitted the LOI and got it back and they wanted to talk about terms, that's when we were like, wait, we're really going to get a building now? Like, wait, maybe we shouldn't actually do this. Which, is the opposite of what you think would happen. But
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened. And once we realized it was real, and we looked at a few places, but the funny story about the place that we're in is we were actually looking at a place across the street from it. Um, that now looking back would have been way too small,
Okay.
would have been actually a horrible spot for us. It wasn't on the main street. The location that we have is right on the corner. But the only thing is it was new and it was a new build out. And the one that she showed us that we're in now, like I didn't like it. Like I didn't like it. I didn't want it. And she knew I didn't like it. And she knew
Yeah.
I didn't want it. The lady, the realtor that showed it to us, like I talk with my face a lot. Like I'm not a game faced guy. Like if I'm mad, you're going to see it. If I'm disappointed, you're going to see it.
Yep.
I got a face for everything. So I'm sure she probably saw it in my face and I said a couple things and, it worked because in a way it was a game face because it was a property that they actually had trouble getting a consistent
Okay.
tenant in. You know what I mean? And in our advantage, the realtor was she's like into fitness. She does like marathons and different types of things. So she knew who we were.
Yeah.
And she knew, at that point, like I said, we had momentum. We were already a pretty well-known name. We were already in gyms and,
Mm-hmm.
at that point, the whole local fitness community, we were already tied into it at that point. So that helped us. And then, from that point, I realized it was time to kick in the negotiation skills and everything that we got a really good deal on the rent and got a full build out in the building. Um, And then at that point, I was actually able to qualify for a business loan.
Nice.
And that's when I went for the business loan, and everything just kind of fell into place because at the same time, we literally signed, the agreement for the building. And then in the same week, I went to go throw axes, at, it's called ABQ Axe. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because the current commissary kitchen we were in, we didn't want to be in.
Okay.
And at that point, we realized we're going to have to be in there at least another 6 to 8 months because that's how long it was going to take us to get the building going.
Okay.
From once we got a deal for free rent. We didn't get a cash allowance, but they basically agreed to build out everything that we needed to get it going. I still needed to buy some equipment, stuff like that. When I'm throwing axes, I knew the lady. I had actually done, back to the DWI. When I got it, I had to get sober, of course. I got grilled pretty hard. I had to do AA classes, and I had the call-in system where I had to call every morning and get tested. Like that's how extreme my judge gave me. She was hard on your boy. So yeah, I struggled, man. That's when I realized between AA and not being able to drink, how bad of a habit I had,
Yeah.
ramped up because it was hard for me. I even risked it a couple times, and luckily I had a cool probation officer. Um, I don't know if you're part of the, cannabis, but that's when like my probation officer was actually the one that told me, hey, you need to go get your medical card because
No.
I don't want to deal with you on that.
Yeah.
And I did. I still have it. Um, and in my opinion, it's a much better alternative to drinking. Um,
For sure.
but yeah, that's when it really kicked in. And, when I was doing that, like, where was I going with this? I lost it.
Axe throwing.
Oh, the axe throwing. So I did that as an activity of like a challenge of not to drink. That's just the type of brain that I have. Like I'm the alcoholic that like you see the guys
Mm-hmm.
on movies and stuff. They'll go to a bar and get a beer, but they won't drink it, or a drink and they won't drink it because they're testing themselves. So a test to me was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I
Yeah.
already knew that was something that I like to do when I drank.
Okay.
So I was at that point in my alcoholic journey where I was like, I'm going to do this sober. And I actually played a league, and we're talking like, dude, like everybody's got a drink. Everybody's got a beer. Like it's a part of it. Almost like playing pool or throwing darts or something like that. It's like one of those things. And I did it. I did it completely sober and actually figured out I was pretty good at throwing axes. Is
Okay.
weird, but I was able to establish that relationship with the lady that ran the place.
Yeah.
So when I went, um, I was at that point obviously doing the business while I was dealing with all this stuff. I told her I was always open about what I was going through, but I told her about the business too. So when I ran into her, she was like, "Hey, how is your business going?" And I was like, "Actually, we just signed a lease. We're actually gonna have a building now. Um, but the kitchen that we're in right now, it sucks. Like the other part was, it was post COVID everything. I know everybody has a different opinion and stance on it. I'll be honest, like I wasn't on the whole mask and vaccine
Yeah.
Kool-Aid. I wasn't like one of those extreme people you'd catch like on a video or anything shouting or anything like that. But I didn't wear my mask. Most places I didn't do any of that. And the kitchen that we got, this, mind you, this is after everything that was over. They ended up coming up at pretty much after we already started over there. Like they wanted us to get vaccinated and show them proof. And if we didn't, they wanted us to wear masks in a hot ass kitchen, even though we hadn't been. We had already been around them. Like it was to the point where the guy pulled out
Oh
his,
my
I
gosh.
guess I don't know because I never did it. But they give you a card and it showed like all your vaccinations. And this guy was like, he was proud, dude. Like he was like, look at this. I just got my booster. And I'm like,
Cool.
are you saying you want me to do that? Because I'm not. And it became a whole thing, dude. Like, and it was like where I was thinking we were going to have to come back to the house or go find
Yeah.
another kitchen. So I'm telling her this and she's like just in awe. And I'm like wondering because it was almost an awkward look she was giving me. Like her mouth was opening and everything. And then she let me finish. She goes, that's so crazy. I have a commissary kitchen right over here.
Let's
And I
go.
was like, bro, what the hell? And it was a legit, like, it was a nice kitchen, like a good layout. Like, and on top of that, they were really in need to get it going as a legit commissary kitchen. They had just got it like certified to be a commissary. They had nobody in it. The only ones that were in it was her, because she has food over there. And the reason that they built it is because you have to have a commissary kitchen or you have to have a kitchen. So they just built a commissary kitchen
Okay.
out of this space that they had. Like, they did everything. They installed the grill hood, ran all the gas lines. Like, it was good to go, legit. And I guess they had some lady in it for a little while, and she didn't really use it, and she ended up deciding she wasn't going to do it. So they were
Okay.
stuck with this space. And so my first thing was, and at this point I had already figured out I could afford rent. So the first thing I asked them was like, how much? And they didn't even know. And I was like, how much would you just kind of rent it to me for?
Yeah.
Like, I know you're still going to be in here. Uh, give me this day, this day. The negotiation skills kicked in again. And I basically got it for a little less than what my rent was going to be, but I had it. It was mine. The only people I had to share it with literally was them. And I had just enough fridge space to make it work. I had just enough all this. And then we got in, and it was just perfect. I'll just say that. Like, everything kind of fell into place like it should. We grew a little bit more. We got to the point where I had to add 3 more industrial fridges to that kitchen because we just didn't have space anymore.
Yeah.
But it worked because that ended up being the fridges that I needed to get
Damn.
into the kitchen that we're at now. Um, and it,
That's
like I said, man, it
amazing.
was just perfect timing, perfect place, perfect time, perfect all that, bro. Like, it's just, when I think about it now, I'm like, man, like, someone was really looking out for me on all these things that were happening.
Definitely. That's dope though. That's badass. So now the next question I've got is what plans for the future does Il Chino have coming up?
So obviously, everything that I've explained up to this point has been, I say it all the time. I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying it, but just growth.
Yeah.
And the next step in growth is just, it's going to be expansion. I've already had the vision for a while of what I want to do. It's not just going to be like another kitchen. It's not just going to be like another grab and go location. So
Okay.
the next thing that we do is we're looking at other locations, and we want to expand to the west side. That's where we're aimed at right now. I just see a lot of potential in business out there, and a lot of business that I'm not getting right now.
Yeah.
So that's the area that we want to go for. And then we're going to do basically a different type of concept everywhere that we go. So every new location that we open, I'm planning on 3 in the next 2 to 3 years total.
Hell
Um, but the next one it'll be Il Chino branded. It'll be Il Chino, but it'll be just something different. So
yeah. Okay.
whereas now we have a meal prep and live kitchen, like, if you ever get a chance to visit, did you ever get a chance to visit the kitchen? I
Oh,
think it was after you
we
guys
haven't
already
been
moved,
out
right?
since we left.
Yeah. So I have like an open kitchen. Like, there's no doors. Like, you can literally see into the prep area. You can see into the grill area. It's a little bit different than when people know, because most places try to hide their kitchens,
Yeah.
but a lot of people like it. You can smell everything. You can see stuff getting cooked. And that's kind of the concept that I had. Like, people have even asked me if I want to do doors and stuff, and I've thought about it, but like, I kind of like how it works right now. So the next one will be just something different. It'll still pertain to the business. It'll still have, a cooler that's stocked, but I already have the hub. Like, my place, I still have, I feel like, about a couple more years before I completely outgrow it. And
Okay.
that's the plan, right? We're going to use that as the main hub, and then everything else is going to be kind of like a satellite run off of Il Chino that offers something that the current location doesn't offer, and
Gotcha.
does something different that the current location doesn't do. I have it. I just don't want to tell you yet because this is a podcast. But one of these days I'll tell you what the concept is.
So those are some big plans, man. I'm excited for you. That's good to hear. I'm happy
Yeah,
for you. So let's go ahead and have you shout out the team and the squad and everybody you're affiliated with. I know you said you got some fighters and stuff and some gyms. So if you want to go ahead and shout out everybody, this is your chance to do so.
yeah. Well, gyms alone and just the local fitness community has been one of the biggest things because, of course, marketing works and social media works, but the core of us is just word of mouth and building and establishing those relationships. So all the gyms that we work with, United Fit, of course, where you got to know
Shout out
us pretty
Carlos.
well. Carlos, man, that's the dude right there. Like, that dude, how he does all the stuff he does
Yeah,
and then still is like I'm not even trying to like kiss up to him, but he's just an amazing person, man. Like
he
he's
is
just a really
a good dude.
genuine, down to earth, good dude. And there's just not a lot of people like that anymore. And he's been a huge part. Um, all the other strength gyms that we worked with, they actually gave us a big, huge jump. So Zia Strength, Jordan, um, Luisa over there, Iron Soul, Eric, all the coaches over there. There's a gym that we work with that a lot of people don't know about in Los Ranchos. It's called Life Sport Fitness, and
Okay.
we've kind of grown together. That's the really cool thing about them. It's a family-owned husband and wife gym. They focus mostly on personal training, but they've gotten us into a whole different demographic in Los Ranchos. If you know Los Ranchos, you know what I'm talking about. Um, so we're glad
Oh
to be a
yeah.
part of that and in that community. Um, down to, like, I lately started working with Dwayne over at Designer Bodies.
Okay.
He's been really instrumental because he knows a lot of people and he's gotten us into a lot of things. Um, and then even like, not even just the gyms, but just a lot of the personal trainers and coaches and athletes that I've worked with. And of course, if I don't mention everybody, I'm sorry. I feel like I just won an award or something, but like it's hard to like cover everybody. I don't want to offend anybody. But like athletes that I work with, my day ones, Freddie Sandoval, of course, which
Shout
is
out
actually my
Freddie.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Freddie. He's been my boy like before I even started doing this. Like it was weird because we had similar journeys, except his was in a federal one and mine was a corporate one. But we
Okay.
met up at, when it was weird the timing on that relationship too, because we kind of met up in the middle right after that. He's pursued the fitness thing when he got out, and after I got out of the corporate stuff, I pursued this, and it just worked. So he's been my day one. Still to this day, I just saw him earlier. Um, there's a local boxer who's actually I think he's like a electrical engineer. He's some kind of engineer, but he also decides he's gonna be a boxer. Huge Russian dude. His name's Leonid Grashev.
Okay.
He's one of my day one boxers. He's the first boxer I ever sponsored. He's still with me.
Hell yeah.
He's been huge. He's a day oneer. Um, Jesse Stanich, the
Mm,
freak himself.
guy right there.
Just Jesse Stanich,
Yes.
Ricardo Castanova.
Okay.
There's so many, bro. I could just go on and on. And then as far as the crew that I have, of course I've like any other place I've gone through a lot, but like my original crew, like my house crew, they stayed with me, most of them all the way through the commissary kitchen days up to the point. Um, and then the biggest part of the crew is my actual official business partner, Jackie,
Okay.
Jackie Marquez. That's my business partner. You don't see her a lot. She doesn't like to do the public thing. Like I say I don't, but she's like
She
true
can.
to that meaning. Like she ain't trying to do no podcasts, interviews. Sometimes you'll see her at events, and it's crazy because she's super sweet, she's super nice, and it makes sense because she's the mastermind behind the sweets and the desserts. She's the creator of the peanut butter bars that everybody loves and all the other desserts that come up like that. That's all her. Like I can't take any of that credit. But at the same time, she's also the one that runs the back end of stuff because I'm ADD, OCD. Sometimes I'm almost to the point of illiteracy when I'm dyslexic. Like so, like website stuff, paperwork stuff, things like that. Like people think that I do all that stuff. I always take an opportunity right now to thank Jackie. She does all that stuff.
Got you.
I do some of it. I
Exactly.
do what I can, but at the end of the day, there has to be a balance. And
Of course.
she truly is, bro. She's the yin to my yang. She handles all that stuff. She's my Candy Hustle. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
man. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah. So,
Very nice.
she's the biggest shout out. And then my current crew that I have, it's taken a couple different formulas, I would say. It's weird because you would think like cooking and stuff would be mostly women. I have like almost all male cast right now with a woman leader. Actually Jackie's sister, she kind of runs the crew. A lot of people that go to the store, they get them mixed up because they almost look exactly like each other.
Okay.
She runs the crew, and then I have a bunch of like really good dudes, ranging from like young kids in high school, to some people right out of high school, up to kids in college. That's like my base crew right now. I have a really good grill cook that gave me the best break ever from, grilling and cooking up everything by myself. And he's just a dude, honestly, that I gave an opportunity to that a lot of people just weren't, they were kind of overlooking him because I've been in those positions before in my life. whether it was because of a criminal record or the way that I looked or the way that I talked. He's like the extreme end of that. And he's ended up being, probably the best, hardest worker that I have. I don't have to watch him. I don't have to, watch, check on him and make sure he's getting everything done. He gives me a report,
Yeah.
like literally, like he lets me know what he's going to do from point A to point B. And then whether he finishes it or not, he lets me know that he finished it and what he did and what he didn't finish and how he's going to get the rest done the next day. And I'm just like, oh, sounds good to me.
Hell
But
yeah.
this is a guy that a lot of people probably would pass up on, honestly, just because of the way that he looks alone. We're talking like tatted head to toe.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a character himself, but love that guy. So shout out Alex for sure.
Shout out.
Um,
I don't know Alex.
shout,
Shout out Alex.
he's the man, bro. He's the man.
Good.
And then he's another one of those behind the sceners. Like you just see him just grilling and cooking away in the back, and you'll never know. You might not ever know his name or who he is, but that's a badass dude right there.
Oh yeah.
So him for sure. My delivery team, which we actually just switched over to a delivery service because it got to the point where like it's just more cost efficient and more efficient overall to use a delivery service.
Okay.
But I do still have drivers. I'd rather handle this part internally than go and handle the grab and go locations because then we're talking about rotating product, pulling product,
Of course.
things like it's pretty much retail level type stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just delivery. So I got them focusing more on that because that's something that I'm looking to kind of keep going, but make sense the most because I've transitioned that quite a bit. We don't have as many of those locations as we did because a lot of the business came to the store, which was actually the goal. One of the main goals of the grab and goes and the pickup locations was marketing, and it was marketing to get people to go to the location because why have a location and a building that costs rent, utilities and everything like that and a ton of overhead if you're not making money there,
Yeah. For
So,
sure.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shout out the squad. Shout out everybody who's working with my man Ricky and El Chino. Super proud of
And
them.
shout out to all the day one supporters like Charlie, bro.
Yes.
Cause like that dude, yeah, I actually met him and interacted with him at one of my competitors. And I still won't mention their name,
Oh,
but,
that's right. Yeah.
but yeah, and that's me too. Like I don't have a problem. Go eat my competitor.
Yeah.
If anything, eat both of our food, whatever. You like what you like and you should be the deciding factor in that. And it
Definitely.
doesn't matter to me. Like I like
No,
competitors. I
definitely
need
for sure.
competitors because
And shout
competitors are
out
important.
you
If
because
you
you've
don't
always
have
been supporting
competitors or
IAC since
competition
day one
and
too.
you don't have somebody,
Always
then you
shown up.
get comfortable. Huh?
Oh no, I was just saying, and shout out yourself as well because you've always shown love to IAC, and been
Yeah.
rocking with us since we dropped. So the love is mutual, the respect is mutual.
Yeah. And I love anything local. Like, people ask me all the time, like, why don't you go to like Define Fitness or Choose or Planet? I do play ads in those gyms, but I don't pursue like working with them or getting grab and goes in there because I prefer to, when it comes to business engagements like that, I like to keep it local.
Yep.
I like to keep it, small because that's what I am. And I'm not planning on like outgrowing that anytime soon. I love that. And I think it's really important to keep going because at the end of the day, those are the people that you're going to run into, at stores on the weekend, at
Or
events, concerts and shows. Those are your people. Just like I talked about culture. If you're a small local business and you're
mm-hmm.
not embracing other small local businesses and supporting them, even if they're in the same business as you, like don't be a hater. Don't discredit them. Don't not work with them. Like everybody's in the same struggle, and if you realize that, that no matter what they portray on social media, what people tell you about them, they're going through the same struggles as you. They might have a similar past to you. At the end of the day, I know I'm not a perfect person. I know I've made mistakes. I know I've done things like that. And so have other people. And that's the best thing is realizing that
Oh,
and realizing that we're all the same and we're all trying to do the same thing and get to the same point, even if we're not at the same step in the journey.
definitely. Very well said. Very well said. So go ahead now, and I'll give you this opportunity to shout out your location, where people can find, your main spot, your socials, where they can find you on social media. If you do have any grab and goes, where they're at. Now you can go ahead and just shout out where people can find you.
Okay. So socials at Chino Meals on Facebook and Instagram. Those are the two main ones. I haven't done the TikTok thing or anything like that. Website ilchinomills.com. We also have a mobile app that you can find on any of the app stores. Just search Il Chino Mills. Those are the three main ones. And then location, we're located right in the heart of downtown. If you're a true Burgueño, you know exactly where we're at because we're at old subway that used to be the courthouse parking right by Metro Court. We're right on the corner, 6th and Lomas. The actual physical address is
Oh,
523
okay.
Lomas Northwest. That's us right there. We do have parking for you. You don't have to pay for it. We have signs and everything. So come on through. Grab and go locations. We're kind of located all over the city. I do have one in Rio Rancho at a kind of a smoothie and nutrition shop called Muscle Blenders by the New Define Fitness. A lot of people miss that one. West Side, the only one I have currently is going to be at Designer Bodies, which is on Alameda right across from the Hooters. The other ones are going to be kind of Midtown area. We have Iron Soul, powerlifting gym. We have Zia Strength NFP, that they just moved. So they're actually more in the kind of almost the far northeast by the movie theater, Century Rio, off of Jefferson. And then we have United Fit, of course, one of the greatest gyms in Albuquerque, expanding this year to like double the size. It's going to
It's
be
crazy
badass.
plans he has.
Yep. And it's kind of like hidden, which is crazy. It's hidden away in an industrial area. If you've never been there, go check it out. It's kind of like off of Candelaria and Vassar, I believe is the street. But look it up, United Fit. Some of the best equipment you'll find. Good trainers, just good energy. Everything
Oh,
about that gym, honestly, it's great. And then we also work with Peak Sports Nutrition, which in my opinion is one of the best nutrition shops,
yeah. Shout out
supplement
Jimmy,
shops that you'll find.
Jimmy, Tony.
Jimmy, shout out Jimmy and Tony, always killing it. Love those guys. They also were one of the first ones to give us a lot of our opportunities that we got us to where we're at. They're our main supplier. We of course use a lot of whey protein as far as supplements go, and we have a direct partnership with them. I shout them out whenever I can. I'm always like trying to push them because they're definitely more than just friends. They're like they've pretty much achieved being partners. And of course, they have one of our grab and go locations, one of our grab and go fridges, one of our nicest. We always keep them stocked. That's a great one too. We have another one in the far northeast heights off of Osuna. It's also a great story. He started out as a personal trainer in gyms around here. Brian, I'm forgetting his last name. I feel horrible for it, but he's got Get Fit Albuquerque over there off of Osuna by, kind of Osuna at I-25 area. He's doing a great job over there. Um, and then I'm going to miss somebody and please don't be mad at me, but those are our main ones. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody, but yeah.
Hell yeah, dope, dope, dope. Well, shoot, man, we got one last thing to take care of before we hang it up. And it's a rapid fire segment that we always do with all of our guests. So I'm gonna just pop off like 5, 6 questions, and you just answer them first thing that comes to mind. Just a little fun thing we try to do to keep things interesting after just getting this whole spiel on some background info on you.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So first question is, what is your favorite sports team?
The only team I have left that I really pay attention to and follow is the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
I'm not an Oakland diehard. My uncles are. They're kind of ones that turned me into a Raiders fan. But I love that they're in Vegas. We've been to a couple games. I even got to see the stadium before it opened.
Nice.
Awesome stadium. And it's my team. And they actually finally had a decent season last season. I'm hoping that they turn around and keep it going. So I'd say like Las Vegas Raiders.
Definitely. Okay. So who's your favorite MMA fighter?
Favorite MMA fighter currently or all time? We got
Uh,
to break that one up.
let's do both.
Not dead or alive, active or so active. Right now, I probably like. I'm gonna have to go with Chito Vera, even though he just got whooped by Sean O'Malley. He's just inspiring to me. I've always had a big thing for like the Latino fighters.
Yeah.
You said MMA or just any fighter?
MMA, but you can do any fighter. That's cool too.
Because I love all fighting.
Okay.
And then boxing, I'm gonna have to go with the current Mexican monster who actually trains out of Arizona, David Benavidez. I would love to see him fight Canelo Alvarez. They need to make that fight happen. Going to retired or out of, yeah, retired or out of action fighters. My favorite all time, non-active is Vanderlei Silva.
Okay.
He carries my last name, of course. So, but he was one of the first fighters that like I followed his career from very early to when he went to Japan. And he's just like his style of fighting, the way he carries himself in the sport. Like he was 100% a fighter, not an athlete,
Yeah.
not anything like that. Just and barbaric, honestly. His style is barbaric. It's just like a berserker type style. But it was always like really good fights, really action packed fights.
Yeah.
And yeah, he has some of my favorite fights ever. He has probably at least, I can name like 10 fights that like I can still watch to this day.
Okay.
Um, and then old boxers, I'm gonna stay true to home and culture and then keep it local. And Johnny Tapia, bro, is my favorite boxer that is ever around because as far as people, aside from Danny Romero, if you know your boxing and you know your New Mexican boxing history, Johnny Tapia, regardless of his personal life and things like that, that people always attack him for, man, that guy, he put New Mexico on the map as far as like when they talk about New Mexico as a fighting place or Albuquerque,
Yeah.
Johnny Tapia.
Facts.
He's the one that started that. And of course it trickled into MMA and other sports, but the core of it is boxing. And
Yeah.
if you ask me, Johnny Tapia, bro, because he's just like, he's always been an inspiration for me since I was a kid. I looked up to him and Danny Romero because boxing was before MMA, and it just kind of carried over. And honestly, like I told you, I only follow one team because I follow all the combat sports.
Okay.
Like even right now, like a lot of people haven't been really subjected to a lot of Muay Thai, and I'm hoping Muay Thai is about to blow up. We even have a gym that just opened up here locally. A guy that I know, a great guy named Mark Edinburgh. He's already in the MMA judging and MMA world, and he's going to try to make it really blow up out here. And it's gained a lot of popularity already overseas and kind of tapping into here
Okay.
in the States, through one fighting championship. They have a lot of really good Muay Thai fights and they're exciting fights. It's stand up. So like a lot of people that like aren't a fan of MMA when it goes to the ground and things like that. I don't mind it. I like it. I know it's part of the game. But like it's basically, to me, it's MMA without the ground game,
Yeah.
you know? Muay Thai because you're throwing everything. It's not just punching.
No,
You got
kicking,
elbows, you got knees, you got kicks,
everything.
um, all that stuff. And then of course I'm on the bare knuckle. I'm on the bare knuckle Kool-Aid because that's the thing right now. And
Yeah.
like we're having a fight this weekend here in Albuquerque at Tingley. I sponsor the main event, the champion, John Dodson and his brother Eric Dodson, who are also out of United Fit.
Yep.
Uh, crazy tie-in right there. He has his fight team out of there. So yeah, like all those. And bare knuckle wise, if I had to say I have a favorite fighter, that's going to be a tough one, a toss up. But since he's local, like Johnny Tapia, John Dodson, man,
Yeah.
he's doing it big right now. And it's great to see him shining right now because actually had such a long career for people
Yeah.
who don't know him and only know him from the bare knuckle. He's had his ups and downs. He's been in the UFC. He's done all that stuff, but he always fell short of like that championship, that greatness, and he finally found something there, and it does, man. He looks like it's like the Flash in there, man. He's
No,
just
yeah. He,
ridiculous.
he really
He
is.
goes in there and just lights people up, and it's like
Yep.
you could see it, like they don't even know what to do, and they
Exactly.
just got punched 6 times in the face and didn't even land on dude.
Yep.
So it's crazy. But him and like Mike Perry, but I still have to pick him, bro. Like he's bare knuckle, he's doing his thing.
Oh yeah. Very nice. What is your favorite vacation spot?
Favorite vacation spot I haven't found yet
Okay.
because to be honest, I haven't done. I've done plenty of like traveling in the States, bit of Mexico, a cruise here and there. But like this, in the next couple years, I want to do like some international stuff and like go. My passport is empty, bro. I got to put some stuff on my
Yeah.
passport. That's all I'll say. So currently, um, I would say, certain parts of like the Gulf, and the islands and stuff like the Keys and stuff like that I've gotten to see. And that was pretty cool, cause it's the opposite of where we're at in the
Yeah.
desert,
Yeah.
tropical water, it's green. So anything like that I like right now. No real specific place, but I don't think I found my like ultimate, you
Okay.
know, destination yet. It's out there waiting for me. It's going to be one of those places like as an old man, I'm going to probably go to like at least once a year or something
Definitely.
eventually. But
Okay.
I want to go like definitely international. I'm thinking about Japan right now because that's been one of the things on the bucket list for a while. Love that culture, love the food, love everything about it. And I feel like I just got to go there and experience it. So that's probably going to be the next one.
Oh yeah. Very nice. All right. And the last question: what do you want to be remembered for?
Uh, I don't like, I'm not one of those people that needs a legacy or anything. I just want to be remembered for like being genuine, being authentic, and being a person that like if people needed something, I always had them. If people like had a question or anything, just real basic stuff. Just I guess not even a good person, just a person, a real genuine person. And that's to everybody like in my life, whether it's somebody that I talk to on the phone or my daughters that have been in my life. My daughter just got home now and she's a teenager and she's going through an emo phase, but I don't care, man. Like that's who she is.
Yeah.
I might talk some crap to her here and there, but that's the genuine part.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? Like,
Of
and she
course.
loves it. She laughs, whatever. But everybody that I've touched in my life, I just want them to like, they don't have to remember me, but like maybe if they ever hear of me or anything, like, that was a cool dude. That's it, man. That's all I want.
For sure. Hell yeah. I
Yeah.
respect that, man. Well, shoot, that's going to bring this episode to an end. Ricky, again, I appreciate you hopping on with us, man. It was a pleasure to have you and to get to know you a little bit better, a little bit more. I know we've, had some interactions back when we stayed in Albuquerque, but I feel like this was good, to get to know the man behind Il Chino, and get to know you better and hear your story.
But thank you, bro. It was great coming on and doing this. And I'm actually glad you got a hold of me at this point because I've done a few. So I got a little bit of practice
Okay.
and hopefully I didn't like run on too far or too long and get carried away or anything like that on you because I can do that sometimes.
No, you're good. Everything worked out. You know what I mean? It was all good. Everything tied into what we were trying to accomplish. We're just telling your story. So no harm, no foul, brother.
Yeah. And you got probably the best in Ross version, man. We covered a lot of stuff that either I didn't go into a lot of detail on because I wasn't ready to yet, or I didn't cover it at all. So even being that you're over there in Arizona, man, you got a good podcast out of me. So
I appreciate that. And,
I hope you liked it.
that's what we're about. You know what I mean? Is bringing
Yeah,
guests on here who are authentic, who aren't afraid to share, the stuff that nobody knows about them and the things that really made them who they are today. So I appreciate you opening up about some of those things and sharing that with us.
definitely.
All right, well, shoot, man. Until we meet again, we're going to go ahead and close it out. Your boy, Charlie Hustle, we are out.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to seeing your next stuff, bro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, man.